The fake funeral that cost them everything. I got an invitation to my own funeral, with a forged death certificate and my cousin listed as executor. By Friday, the house, the business, and every dollar tied to my name were set to transfer. I was legally dead on paper, and they were about to cash out my life like it was store credit. Buckle up, let me paint you a picture. There was a wake with my photo on an easel, a donation QR code feeding my aunt's LLC, and a probate notice stamped expedited. I watched my family mourn me with dollar signs in their eyes. I didn't scream. I took notes. They planned the speeches. I planned the injunction. They ordered flowers. I ordered a temporary restraining order. And when I finally walked in, alive, the room tilted. They wanted my life. They lost theirs. But we didn't start there. We started with an envelope that killed me, the setup and the lie. Here's the family picture without the filter. I run a small manufacturing company Dad left me. Tight margins, good people, boring on purpose. My Aunt Mara calls herself operations adjacent, which means she likes to hover and count my money. Her son Nico is the golden child. He wears blazers to barbecues and says synergy like a prayer. 2 months back, I paused distributions. Not forever, just until we plug some leaks. Inventory shrink, insurance premiums creeping, one supplier billing twice. Normal owner stuff. But when people build plans around your money, temporary sounds like a betrayal. Phones got hot. Group chats got brave. Aunt Mara started advising again, loudly. Then the weird started. An insurance rep called about verifying beneficiaries. A wellness check request went to the office even though I was on a conference call. Somebody called the hospital asking for my attending physician's name. Fishing lines in every direction. Stakes? Clean. Business equity, a life insurance policy I keep for employee security, and my house. All tied to documents that assume good faith. My mistake. Then came the envelope. Thick. Embossed. My name printed like a headstone. Inside, a copy of my death certificate, a probate notice with a hearing date circled in red, and an invitation to a wake with a montage request. My cousin Nico listed as executor. Aunt Mara CC'd as family liaison. I didn't cry. I read. And then I flipped from anger to math. 72 hours until the asset triggers. They killed me on paper. So I stayed dead. On purpose. The envelope that killed me. The envelope smelled like expensive paper and cheap perfume. I slid out the contents and laid them flat on the kitchen table, like evidence. Death certificate first. Corner line misspelled. Wrong middle initial. Hospital code that doesn't match any hospital in our county. The pronouncing physician's signature looked like it was signed by a left-handed raccoon. Then the probate notice. Expedited. Executor. Nico. Attorney. A name I recognized. Aunt Mara's pet lawyer. The family guy who always brings pastries and loopholes. Hearing scheduled for Friday morning. Today was Tuesday afternoon. Tick, tick. The wake invitation came with a "please contribute your favorite memories" line. And, I swear, a suggested playlist for my slideshow. My in memoriam montage request asked for photos of me with team, community, and family, like a marketing deck. And at the bottom, a donation QR code for a legacy fund. I scanned it. It pointed straight to an LLC with Mara's initials in it. Cute. I stared at my own name in past tense. It didn't feel sad. It felt surgical. Someone thought through this sequence and thought I wouldn't notice because I wouldn't be here. That's the thing about being dead. You stop being inconvenient. I called no one. I made tea. Then I made a list. Every transfer trigger I could imagine. Insurance payout timeline. Bank sweep rules. Payroll contacts. Who needs to be warned versus who needs to be surprised? If I blew it up too early, they'd claim miscommunication. If I waited too long, they'd claim my house. I checked the clock. 72 hours until the bank sweep would flag me deceased and start closing and transferring accounts tied to the estate packet. The policy had a contestability clause they were definitely counting on. If they got past the first automated checks, the payout would land before a human ever blinked. I flipped the death certificate over, the notary stamp. Cute again. I knew this notary. She moved to Nevada last year, but here she was, notarizing me from 2 states away like a ghost pin. I took a photo, metadata saved. Then I opened my laptop. Search history went weird real fast. County coroner contact, hospital coding references, probate clerk calendars, funeral home prepay policies. The funeral home listed on the invite? They had a charter package that, funny enough, matched the line item total on the invoice I found in the invitation packet. Paid in full with a card under M. Albright, Aunt Mara's legal name. They'd planned the wake like a corporate launch. Anger tried to rise. I let it pass. Anger is loud. Math is quiet. Math wins. I pulled my files, copies of my actual medical records, my living will, the contact from my general practitioner who could confirm I was breathing and cranky. Then I wrote out the plan. Step 1, don't announce. Step 2, gather. Step 3, freeze. Step 4, reveal. Public, legal, permanent. I practiced breathing like my therapist taught me. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. It steadied my hands without dulling the edge. I cracked a joke out loud just to hear my own voice. If I'm dead, I'm hauntable. Make good choices. The next piece was timing. If I showed up at the wake, could I harvest enough proof to land a temporary restraining order? Maybe. Would they tip their hand? Absolutely. People brag when they think the check cleared. I pulled a cheap pair of glasses from a drawer, trimmed my beard down, found a thrift store suit I'd been meaning to donate, and wrapped my hand with a bandage from an old kitchen accident. The look said, "Accountant with allergies." I took a photo, unrecognizable enough for grief lighting. Then I set up a burner. New number. Fresh email. No ties to me. I set it as the contact line for estate inquiries on a blank Google Voice account, because if they were coordinating vendors, they might fat finger a reply. I also loaded a ride app with a fake profile photo. Nothing illegal, just the default avatar, so I could hop around without my regular driver recognizing me. I scanned the QR code again and followed the trail. The legacy fund funneled into Mara's LLC, which had a bank I also use. Perfect. Freezing one institution is easier than chasing 3. I screen recorded everything slowly, clicking each field like I'd need to explain it to a judge, because I would. The priest listed as the officiant? Family friend. I texted him from the burner with a generic question about the time. He replied, "We moved it to 6 to accommodate the slideshow." The slideshow that was time-stamped, yep, before my supposed time of death. I screenshot it. Printer metadata doesn't lie. Their timeline did. Then the small details I knew would sing in court. The probate notice had a typo in the clerk's name. That clerk hates typos. The hospital code belonged to a campus across town I hadn't set foot in since high school. The physician's signature looked like a traced JPEG. I enlarged it and found repeated pixel patterns. Forgery can be lazy. At some point, I realized I was calm, not numb, aware. My aunt and cousin weren't just stealing. They were betting on my good manners. They were betting I'd need the family more than I needed the truth. They forgot I choose spreadsheets over apologies. 71 hours. I rinsed my tea mug, checked the locks, and laid out the suit. If they were throwing me a funeral, I was going. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to count. And when the counting was done, I was going to pull the pin. From dead man to detective. Morning hit like a checklist. Coffee. Burner phone on. Real phone off. I wrote "I am alive" on a sticky note and stuck it to my laptop because the irony of forgetting felt on brand for this week. First stop, the funeral home. I didn't call. I walked in as a stranger in my thrift suit, glasses fogged, bandage tucked under the cuff. The lobby smelled like lilies and laminate. I asked about the wake for my cousin, kept it vague, let the receptionist do the helpful overshare thing. She checked a screen, smiled that practiced sympathy, and said, "Yes, prepaid, charter package, expedited documentation." Expedited, that word again. I nodded like grief makes you agreeable and asked if there was a guest Wi-Fi. There was. I joined. The network name was literally Blessed Guests. I took that as a personal pep talk. On the way out, the attendant leaned in and lowered her voice. "Card on file ends in 1123. My aunt's favorite 4 digits. People always reuse." Across the street, I sat in my car and made a recon list. Parish schedule, probate docket, insurance portal, bank fraud desk. I set timers, 15 minutes per front. No rabbit holes. If I was dead, time was expensive. Parish first. I called from the burner, said I was a family friend confirming the time for a coworker carpool. The secretary said, 6 p.m. Father Luis will be there early for the slideshow run-through. I asked, "Is that the only service that evening?" She said, "We moved the Bible study to accommodate the family." So they'd rearranged faith around fraud. Cool. Probate clerk next. I didn't try to argue. I asked dumb on purpose. "How do expedited hearings work? I'm trying to send flowers in time." She sighed the sigh of a public servant who's seen too much. If there's a death certificate and a petition, the judge can sign a temporary authorization. Not common. Sometimes for hardship. I asked, "Like keeping payroll running?" She said, "Exactly." I said, "Thank you for your service," and meant it. Insurance portal. I logged into my own account and pretended I was a claims adjuster peeking at myself. The policy dashboard had a new tab. Claim initiated. They'd uploaded my death certificate and a physician statement. There was a green check on identity match. That meant the first bot passed it through. I clicked Contact SIU and typed a neat little note. "Insured alive. Suspected forged certificate. Please place hold. Assign case number." I attached a selfie with today's newspaper. Cheesy, but it works. 10 minutes later, auto reply. Case 4831 SIU opened. I screenshotted the timestamp. I needed a lawyer who enjoyed sport. I called a guy whose ringtone should be a cash register. He picked up on the second ring. "Talk fast," he said. "I'm billing." I said, "I received an invitation to my own funeral. Fake death certificate. Probate Friday. I want a TRO and a records impound. He paused. You're alive? I said, currently. He laughed once, low. Bring me everything in an hour. Retainer wire now. I'll draft. I wired a number that made my stomach flip. Worth it. Micro win. I emailed the probate clerk's public address with a citizen inquiry about docket availability and copied my attorney so he could reply, all with the precise legalese that makes clerks perk up. He did. Bless him and his templates. Back to the funeral home, this time digitally. Their invoice in the packet listed a reference code. I typed it into a field hidden on their site's Manage Your Plan page and hit enter. It opened a summary. Room reserved, slideshow upload received, officiant confirmed, card on file, that same 1123. I printed to PDF because printers are witnesses. Then I chased the notary. She'd moved to Nevada. Her commission number still showed active in our state registry. That's interesting. I pulled the Secretary of State's database, took a screenshot, and drafted a note. Commission holder relocated. Notarization appears executed out of jurisdiction. Possible violation. I didn't send it yet. I like saving dessert. I drove to the parish and sat in the back pew like a tourist. Father Luis walked through the side aisle on a phone call, murmuring, "Yes, the family asked for the donation link on the program." My eyebrows tried to leave my face. I held still. He hung up, saw me, smiled. "Can I help you?" I said, "Just paying respects." Accurate, in a twisted way. The day ran on rails. At the bank, I asked to speak to the fraud desk quietly, like I was confessing. I gave them the SIU case number and the probate docket. I said the magic phrase, "Potential unauthorized transfer triggers due to misreported death. Request precautionary hold pending court order." The manager nodded, printed something, and said, "If your attorney files, we can freeze immediately." I said, "He's typing." Time check. 48 hours until the bank sweep. My pulse tried to sprint. I did the breathing thing in the car until the dashboard stopped shimmering. Then I cracked a joke to nobody. If I haunt anything, it's hold music. I needed one more thread. Email metadata. Nico uses synergy.guy as his personal Gmail. Of course he does. Lena, my cousin with a functioning brain, shares a family Google Drive for holiday planning. If Mara and Nico were sloppy, they'd dump docs there. I sent Lena a neutral text from the burner, condolences, blah blah, just to anchor the number. No ask. Then I waited. While I waited, I walked the funeral home parking lot and jotted plate numbers. People really do park their crimes. 2 matched the Donation LLC's mailing address when I ran a skip trace later. The attorney called. "Draft's ready. Judge is in chambers at 4. Can you get here in 20? I said, 10. I drove like I was late to my own resurrection party. His office smelled like leather and deadlines. He skimmed my folder, whistled at the notary detail, and tapped the printer timestamp. "We can work with this." He slid me a declaration to sign, under penalty of perjury, the sweetest phrase today, and laid out the plan. TRO to freeze, motion to impound, notice to insurer SIU, and a courtesy copy to the probate judge with a polite, judicial face-saving tone. I nodded. We didn't have to win everything today. We just had to stop the clock. The clerk time-stamped our filings like a starter pistol. I walked back to my car lighter, meaner, focused. 46 hours now, enough to build a wall and set the stage. Time to crash my own wake. The spy mission at the wake. I got there early, before the candles did their soft focus magic. The place looked like every wake ever. Beige carpet, velvet ropes, and a table of programs fanned like poker cards. My face on the cover, grayscale, saintly. Nice try. Disguise on, thrift suit, scratchy collar, glasses slipping, bandage peeking just enough to make people look away. I signed the guest book as T. Rivera, a teacher I had in 10th grade. "Sorry, Mr. Rivera. You were always quiet." Felt right. I drifted too. The hallway where sound leaks best. Voices carried from the family room. Aunt Mara first, bright, brittle. "Once probate signs, we can finally unlock the company. No more bottlenecks." "No more me," she meant. Nico's voice slid in, smooth as a sales deck. "I'll send the transition emails right after the hearing. Vendors respond to confidence." I almost applauded. Vendors respond to invoices, buddy. I took out my burner and snapped a photo of the sign-in book, the donation table, the program stack. The QR code sat on a little acrylic stand like a museum tag. I scanned it again to confirm the route. Still the same LLC. I filmed the flow on screen, slow, steady, like a cooking tutorial for fraud. A funeral home attendant floated by with a box of candles. She glanced at my bandage, dropped her voice. "You with the family?" I nodded non-committal. She leaned closer. "Card on file ends in 1123. They asked me to run it again if the donation link underperforms." I blinked. "Underperforms?" She winced. "Their word." She moved on. I mouthed, "Wow. Underperforms. Like grief was a campaign." I grabbed a program and flipped it. Printer metadata on the back margin, tiny and faint, the way some machines watermark prints. Timestamp from 2 days before my alleged death. Love that for us. I took a photo with a quarter next to it for scale, because judges love scale. People started filtering in, black suits and uneasy smiles, that weird laugh people do when they've worn the same tie twice in a week. I kept my head down and did small loops through the lobby to collect ambient quotes. He was so responsible, someone said. Always had his paperwork in order. I resisted the urge to shout, "That's why we're here." In the family room, Aunt was doing the hostess thing. "We're encouraging donations to the legacy fund," she told a woman from church. He would have wanted to invest in the community. Invest, sure, in her mortgage. Across the room, my childhood friend Jonah squinted at me. I turned sideways, lifted my hand to cough, and bent like a man fighting allergies and regret. He shrugged and moved on. The bandage earned its keep. I drifted back to the lobby where the tech table sat. A laptop, a projector, a teen nephew mashing the spacebar like it did anything. I asked him, "You doing the slideshow?" He said, "Yeah, Aunt Mara sent it last week." Last week. He said it without thinking, then stared at the progress bar like it could undo words. I said, "Tough gig, kid." He nodded, relieved I didn't make it weird. I took a slow walk past the donation table and pretended to scan the QR again. The phone buzzed. New email to the Legacy Fund inbox from a vendor. Per your request, wire info attached. I opened it, routing to the same bank I flagged. Subject line, condolences/wire split. I saved it to my drive so fast I almost sprained a finger. Near discovery, Lena. She stood by the photo board, eyes red but clear, watching More Than Morning. She clocked me for half a second, then looked past me like a pro. She always did subtext like it was a second language. I moved on. Back in the hall, Aunt held court again. "We'll liquidate the older inventory first," she told a cousin with a haircut from 2014. "There's a buyer in Ohio. Cash," Nico added, "and Dad's friend can move the equipment fast. We just need the authorization." I filmed the shadow of their mouths on the wall. Sound carries. Faces optional. Then the first glitch hit. A whisper at the donation table. A frown. Fingers tapping the card reader. "It's not going through," the volunteer said. She tried the QR code on her phone. Dead link. I smiled into my collar. Somewhere downtown, a clerk stamped a TRO and a bank manager pressed a big friendly freeze button. Murmurs rippled. Weird. Must be Wi-Fi. Aunt floated over, peered at the square reader, pressed her lips thin. "Try the other one." The other one did nothing. A man in a blazer whispered, "I'll just bring cash." Aunt nodded. Tight. Underperforms. I slipped outside for air and to text my attorney. Link down. Reader dead. They're rattled. He replied with a thumbs up and a skull emoji. Professional. I was heading back in when Jonah stepped out to smoke and held the door. "You look familiar," he said. My throat did a tiny backflip. I coughed again, turned my face, and muttered, "Neighbor, from the shop." He snapped his fingers. Right. He didn't know any neighbors from the shop. He just wanted to be right. I let him. Inside, the slideshow kicked off early to keep people occupied. It started with me at 6 in a dinosaur sweater and ended with a photo from 2 months ago at a charity drive. Timestamp in the corner from the edit software. 7 days ago, 3:14 p.m. I filmed the screen, then the laptop's info window, which the teen left open. Bless careless teenagers. A soft voice at my shoulder, the same attendant from earlier. "You didn't hear it from me," she whispered, "but the prepaid name is M. Albright, not the estate." I nodded once, slow. "Thank you." She drifted away like the world's most delicate submarine. I took one last loop. Sign-in book. Full names and emails. Great for notices. Program stack. Grab 3. Donation sign. Photo. Angle. Serial number on the reader. Then I tucked into a corner and typed a note for the judge. Observe tonight. Prepayment by non-estate party. Donation link to executor's relatives LLC. Program printed prior to death date. Beneficiaries recruiting liquidation buyers. Plain English. No adjectives. Judges love verbs. As I pocketed my phone, my burner buzzed. Unknown number. Lena. The text read, "Something's off. Where are you?" My heart punched the inside of my ribs once. I typed back, "Parking lot. 5 minutes." Then I slipped out the side door, past my own photo, smiling, like I wasn't planning to light the fuse. Building the financial bomb. As the door closed behind me, my phone buzzed with my attorney's voice memo. "Judge can hear us at 9 a.m. Bring clean exhibits. No editorializing." Translation. Build a bomb he can carry into chambers without getting singed. I parked 3 blocks from the courthouse and turned my car into a war room. Folder open. Laptop up. Hotspot on. I named a new directory, Lazarus Court Safe. Humor helps the file tree. Strategy first. We needed 3 fronts. Civil. temporary restraining order, and a motion to impound every scrap tied to the probate packet. Criminal. Gently nudge the district attorney with forgery facts without making it look like a vendetta. Insurance. Feed SIU a timeline so clean a rookie could follow it. I wrote a one-page roadmap in plain English. Goal. Freeze estate actions. Preserve records. Notify insurer fraud unit. Secure bank holds. Prevent liquidation of business assets. Bullets under each. Judges love bullets. Then I built the paper trail. Exhibit A, the fake notary. I pulled the state registry again, captured the commission number, the last known address, the date the commission was renewed, and the change of state filing from Nevada, side by side with the stamped death certificate date. I circled the conflict in red, twice, and then made a clean black and white copy for court. Never make a judge hunt for color. Exhibit B, the forged physician sign-off. I cropped the signature block, enlarged it, and overlaid a transparency grid to show the repeating pixel artifacts. I added a short caption. Identical artifact pattern suggests copy-paste, not original ink. No adjectives, just facts. Exhibit C, the parish emails. I exported the burners thread with Father Louis confirming the move time and slideshow run-through, highlighted the timestamp predating my supposed death, and attached a still of the slideshow info window with the edit date. Caption. Program created prior to reported death. Exhibit D, the donation siphon. Screenshots of the QR code resolution, the LLC registry showing Mara's ownership, the bank name, and the invoice page listing the card ending in 1123. I included the email with condolences/wire split in the subject line and redacted the vendor's routing number because I'm petty but not reckless. Exhibit E, the wake observations. A typed page of quotes in plain language. Executor states, transition emails after hearing. Aunt states, unlock the company. Discussion of liquidation buyers. No flourishes. I numbered each with time and location. Hallway, lobby, tech table. Exhibit F, the printer watermark on the program. Photo with quarter for scale and a second image with the watermark timestamp circled. Caption, program printed 2 days prior to reported death. I scanned each exhibit back into a single PDF with a bookmarks panel. My attorney's voice in my head, make it idiot-proof for the smartest person in the room. Internal logic matters. I wrote a declaration explaining why we were striking now. If the bank sweep marks me deceased, automated triggers initiate account freezes and transfers. If unauthorized parties are recognized as fiduciaries, they will access operating funds, payroll, and vendor credit. Immediate relief prevents irreversible harm. I listed payroll dates. I listed vendor auto debits. I listed the lease payment that hits Thursday morning. Stakes, not feelings. I took a breath and dialed the insurer SIU line, gave them the case number, and kept it boring on purpose. Uploading additional documentation. Please maintain hold on claim disbursement pending court review, the agent said. Understood. I asked for a written confirmation. She emailed it within 5 minutes. I dropped it into Exhibit G like a ribbon. Next, I drafted courtesy letters, one to the probate judge. Out of respect for the court's docket, we seek a brief hearing on emergency relief. Attached are exhibits showing material defects in the death documentation and attempts to marshal assets under false pretenses. One to the bank's legal department. Court hearing scheduled, protective hold requested. Exhibits attached for internal review. One to the funeral home's general email. Please preserve all records, invoices, communications, and security footage related to the Albright wake. Anticipated litigation hold. I CC'd myself, my attorney, and a folder named Serve. My hand shook once. I let it. Then I wrote a microbrief. 2 pages. Headings like highway signs, jurisdiction, standard, facts, relief requested. Under relief, 4 simple lines. 1. 2-0 freezing estate administration. 2. Order to impound all records. 3. Notice to insurer to maintain hold. 4. Prohibition on disposition of business assets. No poetry, just scaffolding. I texted Lena from the burner. I'm okay. I'm moving to stop the money. If you can safely access the family Google Drive, look for drafts, eulogies, budgets, emails with wire split or transition. If not safe, ignore.
She replied, I can. Give me 2 hours. I sent a single heart. Family can be a razor and a bandage. I pinged my attorney. Packet ready, clean, bookmarked. He responded with an address and the magic phrase, print 5. I found a 24-hour copy shop and watched 5 binders grow like time-lapse mushrooms. On the cover, emergency relief, Albright. Seeing my name on a binder that wasn't a memorial felt like a small resurrection. On the way out, I bought a black coffee and a bottle of water. Court runs on caffeine and dehydration.
In the car, I did the breathing pattern until the world narrowed to tasks again. One last piece. Internal controls for the company in case they try to backdoor. I drafted an email to my operations manager, scheduled to send after the hearing. Temporary hold on equipment movement. No vendor changes without written dual approval. New passwords to follow. Rational revenge means you fix the holes while you plug the leak. At sunset, my inbox pinged. Lena, a PDF bundle named Ant's Folder. Inside, a spreadsheet titled Eulogy Budget. Line items. Catering. Offset by donations. MISC, to be reconciled post-transfer. And an email from Mara to her lawyer. Once funds hit, wire split as outlined. Subject line. Timeline pressure. I stared at that phrase until it stopped meaning anything and then wrote it down anyway. I sent the bundle to my attorney with one line. Add as Exhibit H. He wrote back, perfect. Sleep if you can. I couldn't, but I could sharpen. I rehearsed my declaration out loud, trimmed any sentence that sounded like a feeling, and set 3 alarms for the morning. Time to pull the first pin. The first detonation. Freeze orders. 9 a.m. hit like a gavel. We stood before a judge with winter eyes and a calendar that hated drama. My attorney did the talking. I did the breathing. He slid the binder forward, tabs winking like little lifeboats. Your Honor, material defects in death documentation, imminent harm to operating accounts, insurer hold requested. No adjectives. The judge scanned, paused at the printer watermark photo with the quarter, and hummed. That hum sounded like hope. He asked one question. Are you alive? I said, yes, Your Honor. He nodded once, signed twice, and the clerk stamped the order. Temporary restraining order granted. Records to be impounded. Notice to insurer to maintain hold. Prohibition on moving business assets. It took 7 minutes to undo 2 weeks of fraud and a lifetime of family patience. We stepped into the hallway, and my attorney already had Banks on speed dial. He read the order number like a spell. Hold pursuant to section blah blah. Legal Hogwarts. The bank manager I met yesterday confirmed we've placed a protective flag. Any executor instructions will be rejected pending verification. I said, thank you, and meant it to my bone marrow. Then I sent the first text from the burner to Nico. Executor, check your email. 2 seconds later, the notice hit their inboxes. Tro attached, copies to the probate judge, insurer SIU, bank legal. My phone started buzzing like a hornet nest. Unknown numbers. Ant, Nico, their lawyer. I let it dance. I walked outside into clean air and called the insurer. Order issued. Case file updated. The agent replied, we've escalated to special investigations. Disbursement on hold. Music. Actual music. At 10:30, the funeral home coordinator called my burner. We received a litigation hold request. Should we cancel tonight? I said, no. Preserve everything. We'll be in touch. She sounded relieved. People like rules. So do I. Then the chaos soundtrack started. First, a voicemail from Ant. Syrup on fire. Honey, there's been a misunderstanding. Call me. Second, an email from Nico to vendors. Small delay on the transition due to administrative issues. Stay the course. He CC'd my operations manager. I forwarded it to my attorney with the subject, unauthorized communication. Enjoin. He replied, on it. At noon, Ant finally got through. Sweetheart, she began. I said, Mara, counsel only. She dropped the voice. You can't do this to family. I looked at the TRO sitting buckled in my passenger seat like a toddler. I didn't. You did, she hissed. We had timeline pressure. I said, so did the Titanic. My attorney, recording the call in a conference line, coughed into a smile. Back at the wake venue, the donation QR was a corpse. Card readers blinked like confused pets. I got a text from the attendant. Everything's failing. People are whispering. Good. Let them whisper. Whispering is where stories start to rot. Then the micro twist. A message from Lena to the burner. Something's off. Where are you? We'd already had our parking lot check-in the night before, but now she was in the current, feeling the undertow. I said, orders granted, money frozen. Keep your head down. She wrote back, Ant's pacing. Nico's on the phone saying workaround. Is there one? I typed, not today. By 1. The probate clerk emailed both counsels. Emergency order received. Hearing stayed pending investigation. Please refrain from estate actions. Translation. Sit down, hands visible. I forwarded it to my bank contact, who replied with a quiet, appreciate the confirmation. The adult table was set. I let myself laugh once, not loud, just enough to let off steam without losing the boil. Then I turned to offense. My attorney fired a motion to impound all funeral home records, parish emails, and the legacy fund accounting. We attached the exhibit showing Mara's LLC. We asked for a receivership over that LLC to prevent dissipation. Judges love that word, dissipation. Sounds like guilt in a tuxedo. At 2, Nico finally texted me back like I was a customer service bot. "We need to coordinate access to the shop," I said. "No, you don't," he wrote. "The team needs leadership." I said, "They have it." Then Aunt chimed in with a group text that included half the family. "There's been a clerical hiccup. Please don't engage with rumors," I replied. "Rumor, I'm alive. Fact, court order attached." Blue bubbles went silent like a power outage. Inside the shop, my operations manager texted me a photo. Nico at the front door, tugging the handle while the new keycard reader blinked red. Injunction served at the curb by a process server with a jaw like a filing cabinet. Nico tried to smile. "I've seen sell bad leases." The server tapped the paper. "You've been noticed." That phrase belongs on a t-shirt. The vendor email shifted tone within an hour. "Per the court order, we'll await instructions from the company." Music again. Vendors respond to paper, not peacocks. Around 3, the insurer SIU investigator called. Low, steady voice. "We're coordinating with local authorities. Do you want to provide a sworn statement?" I said, "Already drafted. Sending now." He said, "Expect outreach to the notary commission office." I smiled. "I have a draft complaint ready." He chuckled. "You're thorough." I said, "I'm alive." By 4, the first local blog caught wind. Headline: "Family accused of faking funeral to access business." The comments were a mess. Half shock, half gossip. One guy flogging essential oils. I ignored it. Courts, not comments. I watched the sun slide down the courthouse glass and felt the day settle. We didn't finish the war, we stopped the clock. That's what detonation number 1 is for. Break the machinery, freeze the moving parts, force them to stare at their reflection without the blur of motion. I texted Lena one more line. "You're safe. Play dumb. Forward me anything with workaround or transition." She replied, "Copy." Also, Aunt asked about locksmiths. I said, "They can knock. I'll answer." The TRO sat heavy and clean in my bag. The first pin was out. The grenade was live. And the next move? Walk into my own house and let them see what a resurrection looks like with a court order taped to the door. The ally and the mole. We met in Lena's car under a busted streetlight 2 blocks from the wake. Engine off. Windows cracked. That quiet hum of a town pretending nothing's wrong. She didn't hug me. She just stared, then hit me in the shoulder. "You're insane." Then she choked out a laugh that wasn't happy. "And alive. I'm alive," I said, and we froze the money. Her eyes flashed. Relief first, then the heat. "They forged you," she said, "like a form, like a permission slip." She wiped her face with the sleeve of a black sweater that still had a tag itch. "Aunt told me you would have wanted the business in stable hands." I asked which hands. She changed the subject. I handed her a copy of the TRO like a passport. "This is a shield. If anyone corners you, say court order and walk." She took it and exhaled. "They won't stop." She tapped her phone. "Nico's in 3 different chats talking workarounds like it's a puzzle. He thinks if he sounds calm, laws evaporate." "Good," I said. "Let him text crimes." "Okay," she said, snapping back into the version of her that runs toward the fire. "What do you need?" I opened my folder to the pages that weren't going to make her sick. Proof you can pull without burning yourself. The family Google Drive. If they parked drafts, budgets, or emails there, I need them. Anything with wire, transition, or timeline pressure. She grimaced. "I know that phrase. Mara said it twice today. She's been pushing vendors like she's on a game show." "She emailed her lawyer those exact words," I said. "We caught it." Lena's mouth went flat. "He's scum. He's suspended soon if I have my way," I said. "But right now, we need receipts." She unlocked her phone and opened the drive. Shared folder. Albright family. Events. Subfolder. Memorial. Subfolder. Program. Final. Another. Budget. She clicked budget. A spreadsheet popped up with my name on the tab like an obituary. She scrolled. Catering. Offset by donations, she read. AV, nephew free. Flowers. Comped. Then she stopped. Line item. Post-transfer reconciliation. She looked at me. "They wrote it down." "Screenshot it," I said. "Export. Keep copies in your private folder too." Her thumbs flew. Then she pulled up Gmail. Search bar. Wire split. First hit, Aunt to the lawyer. Subject. Once funds hit, wire split as outlined. Attachment icon. Lena opened it with her jaw tight. "They put a split schedule in a PDF," she whispered. 55% to Mara's LLC, 35 to operations, 10 to family stipend. She looked at me like the air was wrong. "Family stipend." "Download," I said. "Forward to my burner, then to the attorney." She sent, then slumped back.
I feel like I need a shower. You need plausible deniability, I said. If anyone asks, you were helping with the program. That's true. She nodded. What's next? We make a public, legal, permanent reveal, I said. Not a scene? A record? I'm staging an estate inventory at my house. Formal notices, cameras, court observers. They'll come because greed is punctual. You'll accidentally make sure the invite lands in the family chat. Lena snorted. Accidentally on purpose. Got it. I slid over the forged notary copy. This is our cleanest charge. She moved states last year. Commission's still listed here. That's your smoking gun if you need to stare down doubt at 2 a.m. She took a photo and shook her head. They did all this and didn't even spell your middle name right. I'm not special, I said. I'm a spreadsheet with a pulse. They forgot the pulse. She blew out a breath and switched to logistics. Who's in the room for the inventory? My attorney, I said. A process server, SIU on standby, and a camera crew disguised as security consultants. Also, a locksmith of their own, choosing, if they bring one. The more they say out loud, the better. Her mouth curved, unhappy but impressed. You're mean. I'm surgical, I said. I want them to stop. The fastest way is paper and daylight. She grimaced again. There's one more thing. She pulled up a draft email on her screen. Subject, transition memo to staff. Opening line. As executor, I'll be leading the company through the next chapter. She scrolled to the last paragraph. We appreciate your loyalty during this difficult time. Please direct operational questions to Aunt Mara for continuity. I laughed once. Dry. Forward. Then delete. Then clear trash. She sent it. Then she stared at the windshield. He was my brother sometimes, she said, voice small. Shared fries, stupid jokes. I thought he was a little arrogant. Not this. You can love the kid and hate the choices, I said. Both can be true. She nodded, eyes wet, and squared her shoulders. Okay. Inventory invite goes out tonight. I'll nudge the group chat. I'll play dumb. Ask questions like I'm confused. The usual. Text me the moment it's sent, I said. And Lena, if anything feels off, walk away. I'll carry the blast. She gave me a look that was half gratitude, half warning. You don't get to die twice, she said. You show up, you stay standing. Deal, I said. Her phone buzzed. Aunt, calling. Lena muted it, then hit decline. I'll call her back after I finish printing programs, she said. She loves being managed with logistics. We sat in the quiet for a beat, two cousins drawing a line you can't see but you can feel. She pressed her palm to mine hard, like a stamp, and pulled away. I'll see you at the house, she said. Bring your poker face, I said. It's packed, she said, and drove off into the kind of night where a family decides what it wants to be.
The inventory trap. We set the bait with letterhead and patience. My attorney drafted a notice that looked boring on purpose. Estate inventory. Premises access required. Date, time, docket number in 8-point font, like a footnote that bites. We sent it certified to Aunt, to Nico, and to the family liaison inbox they love. Lena accidentally dropped a screenshot in the family chat with a "Do I need to bring labels?" The hook set itself. I prepped the house like a courtroom. 2 cameras disguised as smoke detectors, 1 doorbell cam pointed at the walkway, and a little lens behind the bookshelf aimed at the dining table. Legal observers scheduled, my attorney's paralegal with a clipboard and a face that could ruin a liar's day, plus a retired cop who says, like a traffic stop. Process server parked up the block with a folder of injunctions and 1 more envelope labeled receivership notice, M. Albright LLC. I stayed out of sight. I wanted their words without my face. My attorney arrived first, nodded at the cameras, set a digital recorder on the credenza. He taped a printed copy of the TRO to the inside of the front door at eye level. They showed 15 minutes early because greed is punctual. It read, "Read me before you do anything dumb." SUV, then a silver sedan, then a van with a locksmith logo that screamed cash only. Nico hopped out in a blazer over a black tee like he was auditioning for executive cousin. Aunt wore sunglasses big enough to shade a lie. 2 other cousins trailed with flattened boxes and that weird, helpful energy people bring to moving day. The locksmith hung back with a tote and a shrug that said he's seen worse. The doorbell cam caught the first line. Aunt to Nico, "We'll start with the office. Jewelry after." Nico, "We need the closing binders and the safe contents for the inventory." The locksmith tapped the door and said, "You sure you got authority?" Aunt flapped the printed notice like a VIP pass. "Executor authority," she said. He nodded like dollars speak louder than paper. My attorney opened the door. Calm. "Before entry, please acknowledge the temporary restraining order." He angled the paper so the sunglasses saw themselves. Aunt didn't read. She smiled. "We're just here to inventory, not to move anything," Nico chimed in. "We're being careful." "Great," my attorney said. "We have observers, cameras, and a process server if any doubt arises." He stepped aside. The retired cop gave them the that says, "I'll remember what you say." They came in loud, boxes thumped, tape ripped. The living room got that rummage sale echo. They didn't start light. They marched straight to my office and pointed like they rehearsed. "Binders," Nico said. "The black ones with tabs. That's where I keep lease summaries, bank relationships, insurance riders. Nothing personal, all business. Inventory, right?" He read off a list like he'd already allocated the pieces. "Plant equipment titles, vendor agreements, key cards," Ant added. "Photo the art for valuation. It's student prints and a watercolor my neighbor made. Valuation. A nice thank you note and a cupcake." The locksmith hovered by the study door. "You need me?" Ant said. "We'll see." Then, in her stage whisper, "There's a floor safe in the bedroom. Subtle as a billboard." Everything got logged. The paralegal asked each time, "Purpose?" Ant said, "Estate accounting." Nico said, "Liquidation planning." He caught himself and corrected, "If necessary." The retired cop wrote "liquidation planning" in a block letter that could be seen from space. They bragged because people narrate when they think they're winning. "We already have a buyer for the older inventory," Ant told a cousin as she thumbed through a drawer labeled "Warranties." "Ohio, cash, no questions," Nico added. "Dad's friend can move the CNCs fast. We just need the authorization sheets." He looked at the paralegal and then the camera like he remembered they exist. For the record, the paralegal said, dry as toast. They opened a closet and hid a shelf of old trophies and a ceramic frog full of coins. Ant didn't blink. "Miscellany?" she said, motioning a cousin to box it. The cousin hesitated. "Is that inventory?" Ant snapped. "Everything is inventory." The retired cop made a noise that sounded like you just stepped in it. At the dining table, Ant laid out a handwritten list titled Disposition Plan. She started reading off channels. Jewelry through Caro, furniture through Mark's Guy, tools, Ohio, office equipment, Dad's friend. Nico nodded, wrote timeline pressure in the margin like it was a mantra. The paralegal's pen paused. She circled it. "Say that again?" he asked. Nico flinched. "We're just staying organized." The recorder whirred happily. Then came the locksmith moment. Ant led him to the bedroom and tapped her heel on the floorboard like she'd practiced. "Here." He knelt, flipped the board, found a small safe I keep for passports.
He looked up. "You sure about this?" Ant flashed the executor notice again. "Inventory." The paralegal stepped in. "Under the TRO, no opening sealed containers without court supervision." Ant waved a hand. "We're not removing contents." The retired cop said, "Open it and you're removing the law from this room." Silence. The locksmith stood. "I need a signed authorization with a case number." My attorney slid the TRO over with a finger. "Here's the case number." It says no. The locksmith overruled his paycheck. "Then it's no." He packed his tools. "Send me a letter if that changes." Ant's smile cracked. She pivoted to the kitchen and started itemizing like she could outrun consequences. "Appliances, china, silver," Nico whispered. "This is taking too long." Ant hissed. "We expected cooperation." The paralegal said, "You have it. You don't have control." They circled back to the office and hit my printer. Nico popped the tray, found a stack of blank checks from a closed account I keep with void sharpied across. He held one up and, I kid you not, said, "Template." The retired cop leaned forward. "Put that down." They kept talking. "Once funds hit, we'll wire split per the plan," Ant murmured, forgetting microphones exist. "We need to keep the narrative tight," Nico answered. "I'll handle staff communications, transition emails drafted." The paralegal scribbled. "Wire split," she repeated, like she was seasoning a stew. The whole time, I stayed down the hall out of view, watching on my phone as family turned into a deposition. The house carried their voices better than a boom mic. Every brag was a knot pulling tight. When their boxes were half full and their confidence down a quart, my attorney glanced at me from the doorway and gave the smallest nod. Time to be late to my own inventory, the resurrection moment. I stepped into the doorway like a late delivery. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was murder." The word hung there. Ant's sunglasses slid down her nose. Nico's pen stopped mid-checkmark. The cousin with the boxes whispered a prayer he clearly hadn't practiced. My attorney didn't smile. He didn't need to. He set a fresh copy of the TRO on the dining table like a place setting. "Per the court's order," he said, calm as a metronome. "No disposition, no access, no movement." The retired cop added an so flat it ironed the room. Ant blinked hard, like I was a glitch. This is, how?" Nico lifted his phone and pointed it at me like a taser. "I'm calling. Call the calendar," I said. "They've met me." I slid a funeral program across the table. "Let's start easy." I tapped the ghostly watermark near the spine. "Printed 2 days before I died. Printer metadata says hello." Nico swallowed. "That's a mistake at the shop." Great, I said. We love mistakes. I placed the next card, a screenshot of the QR route. Legacy fund goes to an LLC owned by Mara Albright. Same bank as the business, which is convenient for freezes. I looked at Aunt. Did the link underperform? She tried to smile. It cracked. You're misunderstanding. The fund was for community grants. Then the community is named M. Albright, LLC. I slid a copy of the registry with her name highlighted. In the subject line, condolences/wire split is a bold choice for charity. The paralegal read from her notes. You said wire split 5 minutes ago. She didn't look up. She didn't have to. I laid down the notary exhibit like a trump card. Commission holder moved to Nevada last year. Still notarized me here. I flipped to the state database printout. Wrong state, wrong day, wrong you. Aunt's voice wobbled. We were under timeline pressure. Cool, I said. Pressure doesn't turn fraud into paperwork. My attorney cleared his throat, surgical. For the record, temporary restraining order granted at 9 a.m. today. Impounding of records ordered. Notice to insurer entered. Prohibition on disposal or encumbrance of business assets in effect. Any action inconsistent with this order may constitute contempt. Nico tried to square his shoulders and found a circle. We were only inventorying personal effects. Then explain liquidation planning, the retired cop said, tapping his notebook. Your words. Nico flushed. Hypotheticals. Sure, I said. So are prisons, if you live right. Aunt lunged for a safer ground and landed in a sinkhole. We had to keep payroll running. By killing the owner? I asked. Helpful. She switched tactics fast, the way people do when honesty isn't an option. You weren't communicating. We were scared. You filed a death certificate and booked a slideshow, I said. Your fear can spell. My attorney slid the slideshow timestamp photo in front of them. Program created prior to reported death, he said. Officiant emails confirmed the run-through was scheduled before any alleged passing. The locksmith, still by the bedroom door like a tree with a conscience, cleared his throat. I'm out, he said,
raising both hands. No signed authorization that makes sense. I don't touch that safe. He looked at me. Glad you're breathing, man. Then he left, boots thudding like morals. Aunt's sunglasses finally surrendered to gravity. She looked smaller without them. We are family, she said, softening her voice, reaching for the string that used to move me. We did what we thought you would have wanted. Stability. You thought I'd want to be dead? I asked. Ambitious. She set her palm on the program like it could bless her. We didn't plan to take anything. Just hold it. Until when? I asked. Until the wire split cleared? I turned to the process server in the doorway, who'd been waiting like a storm cloud. You ready? He stepped forward and handed Aunt a thick envelope. Receivership notice for M. Albright, LLC. He turned to Nico with a slimmer packet. Removal as executor. Injunction on entry to company property. The paper tapped their fingers like tiny hammers. Nico's face folded. You can't bar me. Employees need leadership. They need paychecks and no felonies, I said. We're handling both. A cell phone chimed with that church app tone people forget to mute. Aunt checked it and went a little gray. The subject line was big enough to see upside down. Insurer, claim hold, special investigations assigned. She pressed her lips together until they whitened. My attorney took a breath like he was about to cut blue wire. From here, you will do 3 things. First, leave the premises. Second, preserve all communications, documents, and devices related to the petition, funeral arrangements, and any planned transfers. Third, make yourselves available for depositions. If you fail on any point, we will move for contempt and criminal referral. He gestured at the cameras. You are currently on record. I wanted to rage. I wanted to list every kindness, every birthday, every potluck, and nail each to the wall with dates and receipts. I didn't. Calm hurts more. I counted on my fingers. 1. You forged a death. 2. You pre-printed a program. 3. You routed donations to your LLC. 4. You filed for control of a business you don't understand. 5. You walked into my house with boxes and a locksmith and called it inventory. Nico tried one last shot. We can fix this quietly. Quiet is over, I said. Quiet is how we got here. Aunt's shoulders sagged. What do you want? The question sounded expensive. Paper, I said. The kind that binds. I pointed to the door. Start with exit, then cooperate, then restitution. She stared at the program like it might change endings if she willed it. It didn't. She tucked it into her bag with a shaking hand and nodded once, brittle. We'll talk to our attorney. He'll be busy, my attorney said. State Bar will be calling. They backed toward the hallway, bumping boxes, avoiding the cameras like they had weight. The retired cop escorted them like a polite shadow. At the threshold, Aunt turned. You'll regret this, she said, but it sounded like she'd already started. I regret nothing,
I said. Except the playlist. They stepped into daylight that didn't care who they were. The door clicked behind them. Not a slam, a period. The irreversible consequence. The filings went out like dominoes, and each one landed with a bruise. We hit submit on the civil suit before their tires cleared my curb. Conversion, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. Plain words with sharp edges. My attorney loved the stack so much, he patted it like a dog. We're asking for everything they tried to take, he said, plus interest. We didn't wait for them to breathe. Motion for receivership over Ants LLC? Filed. The phrase prevent dissipation did its heavy lifting again. We added a little flourish, request to pierce the corporate veil. Translation for the audience. If you hide behind an LLC while siphoning donations, we ask the court to treat the LLC like your purse. The insurer went first on the consequence board. They rescinded provisional acceptance and flagged Mara and Nico in the system. CU sent a formal letter, claim denied pending investigation. Documents referred to authorities. That letter reads like a quiet siren. Banks hear it and flinch. Ours did. They stamped suspicious activity on both of their accounts. Enjoy that hold music. By lunch, Nico wasn't executor anymore. The probate judge booted him with a one-paragraph order that tasted like lemon juice. For good cause, temporary letters revoked. He was also barred from the company property by injunction, which turned our keycard reader into a bouncer with a sense of humor. He tried again, got red-lighted, and a security camera captured the exact second he realized doors can judge you. Then the press found it. Not the tabloids. The local daily with a headline that didn't bother with adjectives. Probate court halts alleged fake funeral scheme. Comments exploded. People who hadn't texted me in 5 years discovered.
Punctuation. A vendor called to say, "We're with you." That one got to me. Justice isn't pretty. It's paperwork and patience and strangers who decide you're worth a line in their day. We held a company meeting. No drama, just facts. I stood by the whiteboard and said, "Here's what's frozen. Here's what's safe. Here's what changes." I laid out the dual approval rules, the vendor policy, and the reason I paused distributions. I apologized for the silence, not because I owed my thieves a thing, but because my people deserved better than guessing. The air in the room loosened. Someone cracked a joke about ghost payroll. We laughed like humans. I kept my phone face down because it had turned into a siren. Ant pinged with paragraphs that read like closing arguments to a mirror. You misinterpreted our intentions. We were stabilizing the narrative. We considered you. I didn't reply. Her lawyer sent a "let's discuss a quiet resolution." We replied with a number that looked like a verdict. Everything they tried to take, plus fees, plus a punitive multiplier. He called it aggressive. We called it math. The bank classified their donation account as suspicious and froze it mid-withdrawal. I got a lovely screenshot from my contact. Attempted transfer. Declined. I framed it in my head. The receivership hearing set for the LLC drew a crowd of legal nerds who like watching veils get pierced. We served notice to vendors they'd retained with promises. Most of those men sent back one-line emails. We were misled. I saved those too. Civil suits feel like waiting rooms, but this one moved. The court clerk gave us a slot for depositions. My attorney matched the tone of a bored dentist. Open wide. We scheduled Mara, then Nico, then the pet attorney who always brought pastries and loopholes. His firm blinked hard and put him on leave pending internal review. If a law firm could blush, they did. At home, I practiced not hating. It's a weird skill. You can swing a hammer with rage, or you can line up the nail. I chose the nail. The copies of their emails sat in a tidy binder with neon tabs. Wire split. Timeline pressure. Transition. I flipped through like a recipe book for consequences. The public filing did something I didn't plan. It pulled old ghosts into daylight. A cousin from the side branch emailed, "Mara did something similar with Grandpa's truck." Not a crime, but a pattern. Patterns make judges nod. The parish sent a statement, quiet and clean. We were misled. We'll cooperate. The funeral home returned the prepaid funds before I asked. Smart people pivot. My attorney handed me a draft press statement and asked if I wanted to be the face. I said no. The story wasn't my brand. It was my life, and I wanted it back without a spotlight. We sent a 2-sentence line. The court has issued orders to protect the business and the estate from fraud. We appreciate the community's support and won't comment further. Dry as toast and perfect. Nights got strange. I'd sit on the edge of the bed and listen to a house that had been itemized like a flea market. Anger would tap at the window. I wouldn't let it in. Justice takes longer than rage and pays better. Paper today, consequence tomorrow. But the bill still needed paying. We tallied the damages with calculator eyes. legal fees, business interruption, security upgrades, staff overtime, emotional distress because being legally dead for a week messes with your head. Punitive damages because if you fake a funeral to steal a life, the math should sting. My attorney built a chart that could make a spreadsheet blush. We sent it with the settlement demand. The subject line said, "The bill." Ant's reply came at 2 a.m. because guilt keeps bad hours. "We can offer a package to avoid embarrassment." I read it once, then forwarded it to counsel. He replied, "Counter at full freight." We did. Silence followed. The kind that means your terms are sinking in. Then the docket pinged. Court date set for receivership, damages, and sanctions. One day, one room, everything on the table. I looked at the calendar, felt my pulse steady, and thought, this is what irreversible looks like. Orders that outlast moods, headlines that outlast whispers, and a door you can't unclose. The bill comes due. We priced the damage like a contractor with a grudge. Line items, no poetry. Legal fees to date. Future fees through trial. Business interruption from the freeze week. Security upgrades, cameras, keycards, outside audit. Staff overtime for cleanup. Emotional distress, because being dead on paper steals sleep and appetite. Then the punitive multiplier. Not revenge, valuation of nerve. My attorney slid the chart across the table. "This is our floor," he said. "They opened the door to punitives when they forged death." I tapped the column labeled restitution to company. That one mattered most. People had rent due. Bills don't care about plot. We sent the demand at noon with a deadline that tasted like granite. 4 hours later, Ant's lawyer pinged back with a confidential proposal. Hush money in a silk wrapper, a fraction of fees, a handshake clause, and a mutual non-disparagement paragraph thick as a phone book. I read it twice, checked my pulse, and wrote one sentence. Counter is everything you tried to take, plus the full multiplier, plus receivership fees, plus bar costs. My attorney added, and a signed affidavit admitting the scheme. Silence. Then another email. Let's get realistic. We already were. Realistic is numbers that hurt. Depositions landed like cold rain. First up, Mara. She wore that "I'm tired" sincerity like a scarf. My attorney kept it boring. Who selected the attorney? Me. Who prepaid the funeral? Me. Did you direct the donation link to your LLC? Her eyes flicked to the camera. For administrative efficiency. He didn't blink. Did you plan to distribute the funds to yourself? She found a comma to hide behind. We intended to coordinate community grants. He slid the wire split email across the table. Read line 3. She read it. The court reporter didn't look up. Clack, clack. Nico's turn. He swaggered in, sat wrong in the chair, and tried to smile at the stenographer. Executor, he said, like a job title. My attorney's first question cut the ribbon. On what date did you learn the slideshow was created before the reported death? Nico blinked. I don't recall. Is that your Gmail address? Yes. Is this your draft transition memo to staff? We were preparing for possibilities. Which possibility uses a forged notary? He shifted. I'm not a lawyer. Good, my attorney said. Answer as a person. We called the pet lawyer last. He looked smaller without pastries. Did you verify the notary's commission status? We relied on representations. From whom? The family. Did you read the physician statement? I skimmed. Did you know the officiant scheduled a run-through before the alleged death? His mouth opened and nothing came out for a second too long. I was told the family was grieving. So were the bots, my attorney said. Between sessions, Lena fed us clean screenshots like oxygen. Drafts with timeline pressure highlighted. A note from Ant. QR underperformed. Run card again. A calendar event titled Post-Transfer Call set for an hour after the probate hearing. She looked pale, but steady. I asked, You okay? She said, I will be when the house is sold. Because that's where the money was hiding. The LLC didn't have cash, it had equity. So we went hard on receivership. The judge granted it with a tone that said, I hate this, but I hate you more. Receiver appointed. Bank accounts inventoried. Listing order entered for the house. Auction date set. Proceeds to judgment. I didn't cheer. I breathed out a year. Settlement talks came back around like a bad song. Half the multiplier and no admissions, we replied. All of it, signed affidavit, and a public apology limited to the truth. Their side sputtered about dignity. Mine thought about payroll. At the company, the team rallied around structure. We opened the books more. Weekly stand-ups with real numbers. New compliance role. I asked Lena if she wanted it. She stared at the offer like it might bite. You sure? She said. You walked into a fire, I said.
I want you at the alarm panel. She nodded once, tearful and stubborn. I'll earn it. She already had. Vendors noticed the shift. Emails got cleaner. Payments hit on time. A guy who once called Nico visionary sent a sheepish note. Appreciate the transparency. I printed it and taped it inside a cabinet. Petty? Maybe. Motivating? Absolutely. On the family side, the ice cracked. 2 cousins ghosted Mara. An uncle asked if I could find a way to forgive. I said, I'm in court. He said, that's not what I meant. I said, it's exactly what I mean. Boundaries are a kind of mercy. They stop the bleed. Then came the big hearing, the one with damages. We walked in with binders fat enough to sit on. The judge took the bench and reviewed without drama. Findings read aloud. Forged death documentation. Misrepresentation to the court. Attempted conversion of business assets. Donation diversion. The room felt smaller, like the walls.
Leaned in to hear. Defense tried for pity. Misunderstandings during grief. The judge lifted her eyes. Grief does not produce a false notary. She turned to me. Do you still seek full damages? I said. Yes, Your Honor. My voice didn't shake. Paper steadies you. Order entered. Full damages. Receivership costs. Attorney's fees. Sanctions for bad faith filings. The gavel didn't slam. It clicked, precise. That sound burrowed under my ribs and melted something I'd been holding too long. Outside, Ant's lawyer approached with a face like wet cardboard. There's still room to negotiate the apology, my attorney said. There's room to comply. Nico couldn't look at me. Lena could. We didn't hug. We stood there and let the weather change. That night, I sent the team a short note. We're whole on paper. We get to be better in practice. New controls stay. Questions welcome. Rumors die here. Replies pinged in, simple and kind. A machinist wrote, glad the boss is alive. Same. A final email blinked in at midnight. Subject, resolution proposal. It was everything. Full freight. Affidavit draft attached. A typed apology with no adjectives. I read it once, twice, then forwarded it to counsel with one word. Yes. Cleaning the perimeter. The morning after the order, we started scrubbing the edges. You don't leave nails sticking out for bare feet. First stop, the bar complaint. My attorney and I stitched the exhibits into a narrative with zero spice, just timelines and attachments. Counsel failed to verify notary commission, relied on representations contradicted by public records, facilitated probate filing with defective death documentation, corresponded using timeline pressure to justify expedited actions. We included the wire split email, the slideshow timestamp, the Nevada notary record. We attached the TRO and the receivership order like bookends. I hit send and felt a click somewhere in my chest. The firm blinked fast. A partner, voiced like a stapler, called to express concern and commitment to ethics. Translation: we smelled smoke. We're moving the drapes. By afternoon, their site listed him temporarily suspended pending inquiry. No pastries, no loopholes, just a headshot grayed out like a cloudy day. Next, the notary commission. I sent a packet to the Secretary of State with the subject line, out of jurisdiction notarization, revocation requested. Clean exhibits, side-by-side stamps, relocation filing, and the death certificate date. I kept the tone boring. Commission integrity requires geographic compliance. They replied with a formal received and a meeting invite I didn't expect. On the call, an investigator asked 3 questions and thanked me for thorough documentation. Government compliments count double. We looped in the parish because penance lives in paperwork too. Father Luis met us in a side office that smelled like old books and lemon oil. He looked wrecked in a quiet way. We were misled, he said before I asked. I nodded. I know. I need your cooperation on an affidavit. He read the draft, marked the time changes, underlined the slideshow run-through note, and signed with a steady hand. I'm sorry, he said. I said, you didn't print the program. He exhaled like he'd been holding it since Tuesday. The funeral home was easier than I deserved. The director produced a neat folder. Contract, invoice, card authorization, ending in 1123, call logs, security footage angles. We'll refund in full, she said, careful and kind. Our staff will comply with any subpoenas. I thanked her and didn't make a joke about the QR underperforming. Growth. I sent litigation holds to everyone who touched the mess. Preserve all devices and accounts used for probate filings, donation management, funeral planning, and estate communications. I listed services by name.
People don't preserve what they can pretend to forget. Then we walked the digital perimeter. Company passwords rotated again. Admin rights trimmed. I killed old API keys like weeds. The operations manager ran a surprise audit on vendor changes the last 30 days. 3-inch tending transitions died on the vine. I bought the team lunch and told them why. Control is a kindness when you've lived through chaos. Lena came by with a cardboard box and puffy eyes. Inside, a rosary from Grandma, a stack of photos, and a flash drive with copies of anything she'd touched for us. I don't want a single thing to look muddy, she said. You won't, I said. We wrote out a 1-paragraph memo for her file. Cooperated as a witness after fraud discovered. No participation in planning or benefit. She slid it into the box like a charm. Afternoon brought the pet lawyer's attempt at a personal call. Man to man, he started. I said, bar to bar. He shut up. We keep our healing for people with clean hands. We cleaned our own records while we were at it. I hired an outside compliance pro to review our internal controls like I'd never met me. She flagged 3.
Weak points unrelated to the disaster. We fixed them by Friday. Rational revenge means you don't just prosecute the fire, you install sprinklers. The DA's office reached out through the insurer SIU. Calm, clipped email. Preliminary review underway. Please preserve availability for statements. I replied with a tidy index of exhibits and a link to a read-only folder. No grandstanding, just doorways. Late that night, I sat at the kitchen table where the envelope had first landed. The house was quiet in a way I trusted again. I thought about the line between kin and criminals. It's thinner than you want, thicker than you fear, made of choices stacked like receipts. My phone buzzed. A message from a church lady who always hugged too long. We're praying for peace in your family. I typed back, thank you. I didn't add the rest. Peace is paperwork and time. Before bed, I wrote the last perimeter note. Refund posted from funeral home, redirect to dad's scholarship fund. It wasn't grace for Mara. It was alignment for me. You aim the money where it can't lie. In the morning, the bar acknowledged interim suspension. The notary hearing set a date. The parish posted their cooperation statement. The funeral home emailed confirmation of the refund and the preservation of footage. 4 corners tightened. The mess had edges now. We closed it out clean, not with a scream, but with signatures that stick. The retribution and payoff. Court day looked ordinary. That's how real endings dress. No fireworks. Just a docket number in a room that smells like pencil shavings. Lena sat 2 rows back, small but anchored. My attorney stacked our binders, tabs like teeth. The judge took the bench and walked through findings like she was reading a grocery list with consequences. Forged death documentation, misrepresentation to the court, attempted conversion of operating assets, donation diversion to an LLC, timeline pressure used as a rationale. She didn't sigh, she didn't need to. She had orders. Receivership confirmed, she said. Full damages granted. Attorney's fees, sanctions, restitution to the company, punitive multiplier. She read the numbers slow, not to shame, but to carve. Mara's shoulders fell like someone cut a string. Nico stared at the table like answers were written in wood grain. The receiver stood, neutral as a sunrise. House listing active. Bank accounts under control. Liquid assets secured. The court nodded. Proceeds to judgment. That's a line you feel in your back teeth. Defense tried for pity one more time. This was grief, not greed. The judge looked over her glasses. Grief does not forge a notary or instruct a wire split. That sentence will live rent-free in my head until my hair goes white. Outside, Mara's lawyer approached, words soggy. We'll comply. Good plan. Nico couldn't meet my eyes. He mumbled something that wanted to be an apology and ran out of runway. I didn't chase it. I had a business to run. We went home to work. I signed a receivership acknowledgement for the LLC assets and handed the receiver the locksmith's card. If you need a quiet, safe guy. He smiled like a person who prefers loud paper. I have one. At the shop, I put the order on the wall next to the safety posters. People read it like weather. Then we held a 5-minute stand-up. Final orders in. We won on paper, I said. We win in practice by being boring. 2 signatures, clean logs, no heroes. A machinist clapped once, quick. Then everyone went back to making things that outlast moods. The apology came 2 days later, typed, no adjectives, just what the court required. We attempted to assume control using defective documents and misdirected funds. We regret the harm. It wasn't for me. It was for the record. I printed it, filed it, and didn't hang it. Some trophies stay in drawers. Lena started her first day as compliance with a cheap notebook and a jaw set like a lock. We audit Fridays, she said, unofficially making a rule. She flagged a vendor attempt to update banking info and killed it with 1 email. She grinned like someone who found a snake and a stick at the same time.
I walked through the floor and felt something I hadn't in weeks. An ordinary problem set. A compressor hiccup. A supplier late. A joke about ghost status. I laughed. I'm billing ghost overtime. The DA's office sent a short line. Preliminary charges under review. Not my show. Not my timing. I sent them a clean index and went back to payroll. Karma's calendar is none of my business. At night, I wrote the new policy doc, plain. Dual approvals, change logs, donation routing rules that would make a thief nab. I ended it with one sentence. We do boring things well. People signed. People minted. I wish I could tell you I felt triumph. What I felt was a door clicking shut on a hallway I didn't want to live in, and a room opening where the lights stay on and the paperwork is honest. That's retribution without fireworks, orders, signatures.
Money flowing back, and a business humming like a machine that likes you. They faked a funeral to steal a life. The court invoiced with interest. We paid the lawyers, paid the staff, and kept the lights steady. That's the payoff. Steady is louder than revenge if you let it run long enough. Consequence echoes. The story leaked into town the way stories do, through checkout lines and church steps. The first whispers were scandal. The second week turned softer. Did you hear? Turned into don't sign anything you don't understand. I could live with that. Former allies stopped returning Mara's calls. Donors who scanned the QR out of kindness redirected to real causes, like the youth center that keeps the kids from turning parking lots into racetracks. The funeral home hosted a free seminar on legacy planning without scams. I almost sent cookies. The parish posted their affidavit, quiet, clean, undramatic. Father Louis shook my hand after service and said, "I'm sorry." I said, "Me too." Guilt needs company. Accountability doesn't. The receiver sold the house. No spectacle. Just a listing, a clean inspection, a closing, and a wire that walked straight into the judgment. The LLC's tools went at auction to shops that actually make things. A guy from 2 towns over sent a photo of a drill press in a new corner. "She'll work here," he wrote. Good. Nico pled into probation and restitution. Community service at a place that sorts donated clothes. I hope folding sleeves teaches him something paper didn't. He sent a single line through counsel. "I'm sorry. I didn't need it, but I saved it." Memory is a ledger. It holds both. At work, Lena put boring on a pedestal. She trained the front office on phishing tells and ran a surprise vendor drill. People groaned, then got better. We made a wall for process wins. Small printouts of emails that almost fooled us and didn't. Petty? Maybe. Useful? Every time. I visited the cemetery once. No theatrics. I left a small stone on Dad's marker and told him we finally sent the refunded funeral check to the scholarship fund in his name. It felt like oxygen. Not forgiveness, just gravity. Money tied to truth. A neighbor waved me down by the mailbox. "You look good for a dead man," I said. "Payroll agrees." We laughed like people who know too much about paperwork. Community meetings turned cautious in a good way. Folks asked about powers of attorney, about wills, about notaries who actually live where their stamp claims. A legal aid clinic set up a Saturday table in the library. Lines formed. Quiet victories stacked taller than headlines when you stop measuring them with noise. I kept one thing from the whole mess, the tiny quarter-scaled photo of the printer watermark. It sits in my desk, a reminder that details end fraud the way hammers end nails. You don't need a speech when you have a timestamp. The final echo was small, a text from a kid who used to sweep our floors. "Saw the article. Glad you're alive. Can I come by for advice on a business plan?" Yes, that's how you close a loop. Turn a scandal into a cautionary class. I still get the occasional look at the grocery store. "Are you alive?" I say. "Very." Then I pay, keep my receipt, and go home to a house that doesn't echo with inventory lists. They tried to bury me. I filed the paperwork. If you've got questions, drop them. If you want more stories like this, subscribe and hit the next one where a prenup loophole flips a wedding. End of file. The door clicked on the receivership office. No going back for them. No shortcuts left. Just orders that outlived excuses. If you're wondering whether I feel vindicated, here's the truth. Steady paychecks and clean books beat fireworks every time. Subscribe if you like rational revenge that pays in paperwork. Watch the next story where a prenup loophole flips a wedding and an entire guest list picks sides in real time. Drop your verdict in the comments. Fake funeral crew, redeemable or permanently on the do not trust with a houseplant list.